We have a very fun and special guest, Jacques Spitzer, Raindrop Agency, a very fun and special marketing agency is a good way to describe it.
Creative agency.
Creative agency is a better way to describe it. But first, tell us some of the brands you work with.
We work with like over 80 brands.
I can name some brands.
You do it.
Let's do it for you.
Oh my God. Dr. Squatch, Dude Wipes, Laundry Sauce, my favorite named brand, Poopery.
Grunes.
Native. Grunes.
So I like to think we work with brands who are looking to punch above their weight and be challengers and be beloved brands, which I think we'll probably talk a lot about today.
Yeah. So if you're not a marketing agency and you are a creative agency, can you tell us what that means? What are you doing for some of the brands that we just spoke about?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say in general, every brand's at a different place in their journey. And we're pretty unique because I mentioned earlier the humble beginnings. Like I literally started this agency 15 years ago making flyers and organic social posts for not even gyms, but like personal trainers. Like they didn't even own the gym, and real estate agents and everything else. And now we've done multiple Super Bowls, and we did the largest brand launch in Procter & Gamble history with Spruce, which we're super proud of. We helped incubate and start Grunes, and we were the first investors and did all of the brand strategy work and all the campaign work, especially the first year and a half or so. And then now they're one of our largest partners as well, as we're creating so many campaigns for them. I think the best way to describe what we do is we try to figure out for brands, why do people buy? Why do they buy this? I know it sounds simple, but I think most people are more concerned about this is what I want people to know, or maybe I can convince them to buy things. I always say that like if Dr. Squatch, if we took the approach of buy this soap because it's great, no one would ever buy it. What we told men is like, hey, you're worth better soap, and this is an option that is worth it. And so if we're saying the soap's worth it, it'll never be. If we say you're worth it, you'll always be. As cheesy as that sounds, it's just true. We create creative literally for every channel, from television to, I mean, you get it. You got to be everywhere. We create creative for every channel that breaks through with that lens.
One of the things I'm really stuck on is you're saying you're helping these brands discover what the reason is that people are buying them and then communicate that message. What does that discovery process look like? And it might be helpful to actually use an example. Grunes is a fun one because they were acquired by Unilever for $1.2 billion. So when Grunes came to you really early, what were they trying to do? And what was like a reframe that maybe you helped them with?
When we were approached by Grunes, we were the first to believe in them, right? Like truly. And it was actually maddening that we believed in them. And then I remember texting with Chad and so many people passing on. We couldn't convince people to invest with us. It was just like, no. And I'm like, guys, you don't get how big this idea is. Like, this is a massive idea. You know, what we believed in it and in Chad and what he was doing from the beginning, what we didn't know was that he was going to be the best operator we've ever worked with. That didn't hurt. Here's the simplicity of why we were like, oh, this could be really big. One of the biggest drivers for habit is that it spikes dopamine, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, what is the biggest problem with gummy vitamins? Everyone else has been talking about how AG1 is impossible to stick to. That's not why we invested in this, at least from my standpoint. I'm like, the biggest problem with gummy vitamins is that you only get one. I freaking love them. They're delicious.
Of course, it's candy.
They're delicious.
Who doesn't love some candy?
Right. What I started realizing was, I'm like, early on, we're like, whoa, this is going to be snackable nutrition. This is going to be something that people are going to look forward to every single day. People keep saying, I'm like, no, it's snackable nutrition. It happens to be gummies, right? Ultimately, what they're solving is people wanting their greens every single day.
Yeah.
That's an insane problem to solve. Truly. We wouldn't need the product if people were just like, give me more of that salad every single day, all the time. And so the first version of the packaging and everything else was pretty clinical. Yeah. And when we mapped out everything, we really wanted to lean into joy, and we wanted to lean into a brand that felt light and fun, fit with who you want to be and become. Because there's already someone that's owning like, hey, you can choke down something and be hardcore. But like, For 90% of us, like, we actually just want to be 1% better every day. And I think Groons is a perfect brand that executes on that really well. Interact Brands did the brand redesign on it. They nailed it. From 0 to 100 million, it was just pumping behind these assets that we were creating that showed people a new way to experience health and wellness through a daily dose of joy. And they've since expanded it quite a bit. When we tap into people's why, it brought in so much, like, who sees themselves as the end person for this. And we're no longer selling taste, we're selling identity, that you are the kind of person that listens to that subscribes to Express Checkout, that listens to this show. And I'm not gonna lie, if you're still listening right now, I think I know a lot about you, even though I've never met you.
Something I want to dig into, this idea of building something aspirational. I think a lot of brands have heard that soundbite and they're like, I know I want to build something for what people want to become. But they don't necessarily know how to translate that into assets. So, like, for example, I feel like oftentimes I see a brand that I'm like, oh, they're trying so hard to be a lifestyle brand. They're a supplement brand, but all of their pictures are like a fit woman on the beach. And it doesn't translate. There's like this awkward disconnect. What does translate? How do you build something aspirational that's not shoving this idea in your face and actually feels like relatable and can translate to the potential consumer?
What we consider to be aspirational is a moving target. I think that's actually one of the trickiest parts of anything. And I'll give you a great example. I'm seeing this happen right now with Nike and New Balance, as well as with Lululemon and Viore and Aloe, right? Where Nike built itself on being the top, the premier, and it was like, we're gonna own everything that's aspirational about being an athlete. We're gonna own effort and greatness, and we're gonna do it over and over again. And then along comes New Balance, and this is why I always crack up, because most people, they're always worried about their, like, this competitor that's like, you know, the Adidas or the other big players, and I'm like, no. You got to be worried about New Balance, because New Balance comes in and they're like, we got nothing to lose. And the day that everything changed was when they signed Kawhi Leonard. God, that was weird. It was so weird. He's like self-admittedly weird. And then over time, though, they were a first mover behind Ohtani, and they were a first mover behind, you know, now Cooper Flag. And they keep making these bets. Almost, you could call them kind of like moonshot kind of bets on different athletes and different pieces of culture that are rapidly becoming the new aspiration. And I think that's the give and take of things. It's like, well, aspiration used to be how great can you be and how hard can you try? And then I feel like New Balance is coming along and they're like, aspiration is looking good without looking like you're trying too hard, which is the give and take in the pool of everything. And I think Lululemon's going through a similar thing with the Viores and the Aloes of the world, different reasons. But I bring it up to say that aspiration is this very much moving target, just as much as fashion is. I think you could say fashion and aspiration are linked in the sense of what's considered aspirational at any given moment is constantly shifting. What you're probably feeling is that when someone's trying to be aspirational in a way that feels 10 years ago, it doesn't work.
That's such a good point. Something that I'm interested in, that's, I assume it wasn't surprising from your end, but from our end, it's wild to see that Dr. Squatch acquired 1.5 billion by Unilever. Then Grüns acquired 1.2 billion by Unilever. I know you mentioned one of the reasons that Grüns wanted to work with you is because they saw what you did with Dr. Squatch. Can you, I mean, I don't want to ask you to like compare the brands, but I am interested. They ended up seeing a really similar trajectory in a lot of ways. What do you think that was? And was that something that you saw internally? Were you speaking to the same customer when you started working with Grüns, or what did some of those similarities or differences look like?
It's a great question, Jenna. Here's what I'll say. I believe that the ROI of joy is infinite. I believe that we work with a lot of premium products. We work with a lot of things. I mean, I constantly think about, wow, like we sold $9 bars of soap to men through the internet when you could buy a 30-pack of soap for $12.99 at Costco, and people were happy to do that. We love when we have the opportunity to turn what is a mundane daily occurrence into something that sparks joy. right? And I think we did the same thing with Native. I mean, we grew them by like $1 billion, right? If you take something that people have to do anyway and you infuse it with joy, both through the product, but also through their experience with it and the context that you tell them in advance that you're going to have. And then when they find themselves experiencing it, it's like you're paying off on the promise. That is very, very, very valuable because there is no brand or product out there that delivers more daily joy to people trying to get healthier than Grooms. So it's like, that's how you win. I'm like, they're delivering the most joy, obviously a ton of benefit too. Name a soap company delivering more joy to men in this country than Dr. Squatch.
But that's on a product level. And then I'm like just so fascinated in how you communicate because that's a really hard thing to communicate. This will bring you joy is like, okay, sure. What does that actually, I know Grooms, a lot of kind of what got them on the map is really great UGC. I'm curious, what were some of the, like more from more tactical standpoint, what were some of the tactics that you were able to use that communicated this joy that you're describing in either Dr. Squatch or Grooms?
Yeah, we would never say this is going to make you happier. Because then it doesn't work, because it doesn't make you feel happier. It doesn't make anyone feel happier to hear that, right? What Dr. Squatch did with this advertising was it said, hey, like, so one of the biggest opening moments was, you're not a dish with like sad soap on it, smash, you're a man, right? And it's like, oh, like that's interesting, you're right, I'm using, and the next line is like, you're using like the same type of detergent we put on dishes to wash your body. That's crazy. And then lines like, are you still using the same bar of soap that your mommy bought for her little man? It's funny because so many people are like, oh, I've never thought about my soap. I just buy whatever I've always used. And so that disrupts that thing. And so when I talk about we were selling joy, it's like, because the advertising itself was funny and clever and made people feel like they were discovering something, they felt something that they did not feel with a standard bar of soap. You create a context for which people are going to enjoy it. With Grooms, like if you go back and look at like some of the very, very early long form ads that they ran super heavily on especially on YouTube, it's a completely, I think that's one of the interesting things. People see a Dr. Squatch work and it's like crazy and bombastic, but it doesn't have to be that. It has to connect with people on who they believe they are trying to become. So when the Grooms ad, the one that really connected with people was this woman, she's doing like sit-ups and she's like trying to eat salad at the same time. And it's like, look, like you're trying to be healthier, but let's be honest, there's gotta be a better way. This is hard, right? So it's funny, but it's empathetic and it connects. And it's like, okay, we solve that. This is all of those things and something that you'll actually enjoy, that you'll actually take with you. We're building this case for like, oh, this product will work for me in my life and deliver on joy. And so it's like, that's what I'm trying to say is like, we don't tell, no one ever, kind of like being aspirational, like you don't tell people anything. You have to show them that, oh, I've discovered this and it fits into my life so well because I'm not that 5% that is like going to choke down something no matter how it tastes. Or because like everyone keeps comparing it to AG1 and I'm like, AG1 definitely created the awareness of the market. So not going to lie about that. But the buyer for Grooms isn't just like converting from AG1. It is all the people who are like, I would never sign up for AG1 because I know I wouldn't get more than 3 weeks into that. I already know I'm going to fail. And so Grooms is like, you might not fail this habit. It's working because people are sticking to it and they are seeing the benefits of it. So that's man, you're asking great questions, but they're all connected. It's like, how do you sell joy?
Exactly what you hit on is so interesting. It wasn't showing the person who already had their life together. It's like catching the consumer at the point of trying, not at the point of like they already are there, or not at the point of make you feel bad about yourself.
No shaming. We never shame.
It's more like, oh, we see you because here's an example of someone trying and you're trying. I love that idea of like just catch someone at the point of trying. Really interesting stuff. I wanted to ask one more thing before we close out. I'm sure people are asking you a lot about AI now. Are there good use cases for AI in a creative agency, or are you steering away? What are the watch outs and what's useful?
Yeah, oh, I mean, we're using it. Of course, we're using it. There's so many places we're using it, whether it's to accelerate early ideation, whether it's to, like, one of my favorite things to do is I'll just close my mind and I'll beautiful mind this shit and I'll just talk about whatever's on my mind. And then I'll talk, using, what's the name of this thing? It's worth the shout out.
Whisper flow?
Whisper Flow, yes. Yeah, Whisper Flow changed my life. So I use Whisper Flow, I just talk, and then I'm like, organize these thoughts into something presentable. And it and I'm like, perfect. That's a great jumping off point. We're starting to use it more and more as we get into augmenting and creating worlds. We'll shoot something on a certain backdrop and then we can extend the world out and almost like picking things that would have been way outside of a budget from like a CGI standpoint and just being able to bring that into lower budget things. Where I'm very leery of it, and I think brands should be, is we made a commitment. We use human talent. And I get that there are a lot of brands that will not use human talent and they will use it for a bunch of things. For instance, imagine, and put it grooms, for example. Why in the world would you risk your authenticity with people when you're an ingestible product that people have to trust in? The amount of risk involved in creating AI content and having a certain part of the demographic just be like, oh, hell no, is not worth it for a lot of people. And so we're really big on let's utilize the tools. That being said, I also think that there'll be legislation that comes out, that already is coming out. And then YouTube confirmed that basically AI content has it embedded within it certain ones and zeros that allows them to flag it as content that's being generated. And so I'm just like, we're going to get to a world, we're already in it, where it's soupy and there's a little bit of everything. But I think people don't want to feel tricked and they don't want to feel like they're not in on the fact that it's AI. And I think that part of the industry will shift. But ultimately, if you go back and read a book, which I have over here, you probably can't see, from 1905, we're still dealing with the same principles before television, before radio, before the internet, on human psychology and how to move them. And the tools just keep changing.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. I mean, it's tricky because it feels like you can get away with more because even though AI detection is there, it's getting a little bit harder.
It's scary. Yeah, 100%.
It's more just this element of joy is the root of everything that you guys do. And I think that's just something that AI has not experienced joy. So how is it going to know how to translate it?
It's just like aspiration. What gives us joy evolves.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. It's not a static thing. So being with you today is what gives me joy.
Aww.
Thank you for having me.
This was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Jax of Raindrop. Make sure you're subscribed to Express Checkout wherever you find podcasts. Also subscribe to our newsletter at expresscheckout.co. Find us on Instagram at Express Checkout, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.